We're back on record in State versus Davis, which is C377407. Is there anything we need to address outside the presence before we bring the jury back in?
No.
Okay, sounds good. Let's bring the jury in. Please rise for the jury, guys.
Okay, the funny thing is, if you stand up, I think one of these screens on.
The parties stipulate to the presence of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be seated. All right, welcome back from lunch, ladies and gentlemen. We're still on the state's case in chief. State, who's your next witness?
James McDonald.
McDonald or McConnell? McDonald.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
James McDonald, JAMES,
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Paul, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McDonald, it's fair to say that you're here because of a court order. Is that right?
Correct.
That you didn't volunteer to come or anything like that?
Not at all.
Okay. But you were instructed by a court that you had to attend.
Yes.
I want to ask you about September 7th, 1996. Were you at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Club 662?
It was a club that Suge bought, and we operated it. When he opened, I was head of security through the neighborhood. Just a place to go and hang out.
Did the number 662 mean anything?
Well, to the new guys, that was part of our neighborhood, 662,
Okay.
MOB.
Okay, MOB. And when you say MOB, there used to be, before Apple iPhones and those types of things, when you had to have landlines and you pressed numbers, 662, there would be letters under those numbers, and M and O would be under 6. Is that right?
Correct.
And B would be under 2?
Yes.
So 662 would be MOB.
Yes.
Okay. When you talk about Suge, are you talking about Suge Knight?
Yes, sir.
How did you know Suge?
He lived in my neighborhood.
And is that in Compton?
Yes.
When you were at Club 662, you said you were head of security.
Not at that time.
No.
No.
When was he with you?
I got out of prison in 1988. Suge came and got me in 1988. Like 4 days from coming home. Started another company, Burn Hill Records. Then Death Row Records came. Soon as Death Row was launched, Reggie came a few months after that.
Okay, so we're talking about the start of Death Row Records. Reggie wasn't part of Death Row Records initially, but you were.
Yes.
And then Suge Knight, was he the boss of Death Row Records?
Yes.
Okay. Was Suge from the same neighborhood?
From the mob?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Suge was, he was guilty by association.
Okay.
He wasn't from the neighborhood. He lived in the neighborhood. We looked at him as somebody from the neighborhood. When he started Death Row and started to recruit us, then yes, he's from the hood.
So I guess there's a difference between living on a certain street versus being from the hood.
Yeah.
And how would you describe that difference?
I look at it, you have three different type of friends in the neighborhood. You got gang members, you got gang bangers, and you got men that just guilty by association from living in that area.
Okay. And can you tell me what the difference between a gang member and a gang banger is?
A gang member hangs out. A gang banger handles his business, put in work, do what the gang do.
And what was your role with Death Row?
I was the guy that if something happened, Suge would have you take care of that. Like Snoop Dogg trial, there was issues up there. I was sent up there to make sure those problems didn't happen again.
And are those problems, and I'm not asking you to get into specifics, but are those problems meaning issues with other people who might be gangbanging or might be trying to threaten folks, that type of thing?
Correct, yes.
And you were somebody that Suge relied on to be able to protect his roster of music artists and other things like that.
Correct.
And after you were asked to help out with Snoop, did Snoop have any other problems?
No, we didn't have one issue at court.
Now, I'm going to ask you, fast forward a little bit, to, were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes.
Would you say they were somebody you were in alliance with or a rivalry with?
Right.
Okay. And would sometimes that rivalry get violent?
Anytime you're dealing with the gang life, it's going to be violent at any given time.
Are you familiar with somebody that went by the name of Tupac Shakur?
Yes.
How are you familiar with Tupac?
He was assigned to Death Row.
And when he was signed with Death Row, would he also hang out with you guys?
He hung with my brother now. Yeah. Not me.
Who is your brother?
Alton McDonald, Buntry Ave.
He went by Buntry?
Yes.
Now, during this time, is it fair to say that Mr. Shakur had an issue with rappers from the East Coast?
I think Tupac inherited the beef between Suge Knight and Puck.
Okay, that was your perspective of it.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
And we all fell. Some of us fell victim to it because we allowed ourselves to be a part of the BS, should I say. And that was a situation between record companies, not gangs. So technically it wasn't our business. But when you had 20 men just fresh out of prison and didn't have a way of getting the things they wanted, getting a paycheck from Suge, we did almost anything and everything to get that paycheck.
Now, Was there another gang that was associated with Bad Boy Records, the East Coast record company that Puffy had?
The only one I know of is Southside.
And did that escalate the tension between Mob Piru and Southside?
At the time, there was no at war, it was peace. And when the two record companies got into it, Bad Boy went to Keffe D now, and Suge came to us. So that intertwined everything, and we had issues.
Do you recall any instances that you were at where there were those issues manifested itself in terms of violence?
Are you serious? Don't ask me that right here. I can't say that on both sides. When each neighborhood met each other, there was a lot of tension. I'd say that.
Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about September 7th, 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in Las Vegas on September 7th of 1996?
Yes.
Why were you in Las Vegas?
To run the security at 662, we were having issues with individuals that said that they were coming for whatever reason they was coming for, and to come to 662. My job was to not let that happen.
Similar to the kind of security you were asked to apply in the whole Snoop Dogg situation.
It didn't have nothing to do with Snoop Dogg. It was, everybody came, well, Suge and Bunch of them, his entourage, everybody went for the fight. My job and all of my people were there to make sure nothing funny happened at 662. So we were the fall guys. So if something happened, we was the one that's going to go to jail for it. Prepared to do that. So nobody else was going to come up there and disrupt it in that manner. But if anybody remember that night, it was so many Metro and everybody there. No, neither side could have did anything. So it was calm, it was peaceful.
So when you say there's so much Metro there, you're talking about so much Metro at Club 662?
It was police all over the place.
Now you said you were there to be on the lookout for something. What were you?
You said I was on the lookout for nothing.
I apologize. You were there. You were there in order to ensure there weren't any problems. Is that fair?
To make sure everything was good.
And because you had heard there might be some issues.
Correct.
And what were the issues that you were concerned about?
Individuals coming up there creating an issue we was having with different sides from with Crips, period.
Yeah. So you were worried about Crips. Not worried, I'm sorry. You were there providing security to ensure that Crips did not initiate any violence at Club 662.
Not just Crips, that nothing would happen.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. And then when you were there, was Reggie Wright Jr. with you that night at September 7th, 1996 at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Reggie doing there?
Reggie's job was to watch me and make sure I don't get in trouble. Everybody knew how I was. So Reggie, everybody else went to the fights. Reggie was there to watch me with the people that was there.
And I'm guessing that you were not the only person there making sure there wasn't any problems at Club 662.
I'm positive it was 30, 40 Pirus there.
And again, that was to make sure that there wasn't any violence that occurred at Club 662.
Right.
When at some point that night, do you learn that Tupac or Suge had been shot?
That night, yes.
Can you tell me how you learned about that?
Well, people was coming back and was explaining that Tupac and Suge just got shot. Everybody was in a uproar. A lot of people started even trying to get over there on Cobalt. We couldn't leave because we didn't pay to do this here. it wasn't too long after people started coming back, like Haron came back and went to the hospital. The majority of the people was leaving and then coming back because that night they said Tupac was going to be all right. And even Suge came back with a little bandage on his head. And we thought everything was good. People kept partying.
So, and when Suge came back, you said he had a bandage on his head, but
Yeah, the dude said he got shot, but he was grazed, a little scar, but nothing penetrated.
some people would describe being shot in the head even
Well,
slightly.
he described it as that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're wrong.
All right. So when you find out, well, let me ask you this: was Reggie with you when you found out that Tupac and Suge were shot?
Yes.
And did it appear to you in any way that Reggie Wright Jr. was coordinating the murder of Tupac Shakur?
Impossible.
I mean, and I say this because you're aware that there have been some conspiracy theories that Reggie Wright Jr. is responsible for the murder of Tupac.
And it's so not true. His father was implicated, and his father had something to do with it. Reggie Wright used to be a police officer. And here again, I've been knowing Reggie Wright over 50 years. His daddy, as a police officer, patrolling my neighborhood. He done took me to jail many times when I messed up. If Reggie killed Tupac, then death row is over with. Tupac was the money source. Tupac was that guy at death row. So Reggie would have had a problem if he would have did that. And Suge, I truly believe Suge would have opened his mouth if Reggie betrayed him like that. So people say what they want to say.
After that night, do you stick around in Las Vegas or do you go back to Compton?
Well, I stayed in Vegas and we left that morning because we knew we was going to have neighborhood issues, and everybody left and went back to Compton.
Why were you thinking you might have neighborhood issues?
Well, you asking me some. The issues that we was having was heated, and Compton was on fire at the time, and things were happening. And me personally, staying in Vegas wasn't worth it. That man in the hospital, it's time to go and protect your home front and be prepared for whatever happened there. You know what I'm saying? Like the other side was being prepared and was prepared to do things because Orlando got beat up in there. And that's something you don't tolerate. So you was going to get some repercussion from that and everything else that was going on. So living this life, you got to be ready. If you not, you might as well just lay down.
Now, you weren't there for the beating of Orlando Anderson at the MGM, were you?
No, I was.
Yeah, like we talked earlier, you were at 662.
Yeah.
But are you aware of why Orlando was targeted?
I'm aware of a lot of things. Things that was going on. People ain't talked about it in 30 years. Today ain't one of them. I don't mean to be funny, but here's the thing. A lot of things happened that night. A lot of things happened weeks and weeks after that night. Me or anybody else bringing up the dead is wrong. A lot of people got hurt behind this situation in itself. Living the life and how we lived in Compton is one thing. You bring back all of the guys that made it, like me, I'm 61 years old now, to rehash and relive this situation again. I told every attorney in here that tried to get me to come here, you better treat me as a hostile witness. And I think that's where I'm about to go now, because you're asking me questions. I can't answer those questions.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Then I'm not going to speak on Orlando. Let me ask you something about yourself. There was a rumor that Tupac had knocked you out one time.
I'd have killed him.
That would have been your response if that happened.
Yeah, I'm being honest with you and everybody else. I said it on my podcast show. Him, Suge, and my brother. I'd have shot all three of them if he touched me. That's how I was living.
Why is that?
That's what I was back then.
And so, is it fair to say that your reputation and your standing in the neighborhood would require you to do something if you're going to get punked by somebody like Tupac?
You don't have a choice, or you can't be there.
I'm sorry. We're doing some side talking. No, that's my fault. I asked, that being in the life that you were, if somebody like Tupac is punking you, like by punching you in the face or something like that, you would have to retaliate, or you would lose your place in the neighborhood.
You would have to go back home and fight everybody that called you a punk. You would have to go. There's some rules that you roll with, and some rules you just got to handle. Certain things need to be dealt with, adjusted, living that life. And when I was living that life, it wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts. It wasn't no, oh, you get a pass. No, I would have shot him, to be honest.
So then you had mentioned, I'm not going to ask you to go into any specifics, but you had mentioned that after what happened here in Las Vegas, there were issues between the neighborhoods. How long did that last for? Was it like, all right, one day we're good, everything's done, or did it last for longer than that?
No, it was tension in the air for quite a long time, until I guess both sides, and he might agree, just said, let that shit go. Because it really wasn't our beef. This was between Suge Knight and Keffe D. And people put themselves in situations, like myself. I'm guilty as everybody else. Like myself, I put myself in a situation to protect something and somebody that didn't have nothing to do with me. I did it for a paycheck. I did it on some just because. I'm older now. I get it. But we did things for all the wrong reasons at that time, in them days.
Of course, indulgence. Your Honor, State will pass a witness.
Okay. Cross-examination, Mr. Stamps.
Sir, have you ever met me?
Excuse me?
Have you ever met me before?
No.
Have you ever spoken to the district attorneys prior to your testimony here today?
Once.
And is that what you're referring to as the time that you told them, like, hey, any attorney here is better treat me as hostile because...
Yeah, I told him I didn't have nothing to do with this.
Now, a couple questions for you, sir. This is more for clarification. So on the night of the murder, you were working as the head of security for 662.
Yes.
Explain for us a little bit about the club. Was that Suge's club or was it somebody else's club?
Sure, to my understanding.
Okay. And when you were there as head of security, were you there, had you worked there as head of security prior to this particular night?
We did an event there once before. Yeah, same thing.
Okay. And on this particular night, was this an event like some type of fundraiser or something for police officers or anything like that? Do you recall what the event was for?
We wouldn't have been there.
Okay.
No.
What was the reason for the event?
It was Mike Tyson fight. Tyson was coming back. Tupac was supposed to perform like other people, and we was there for that.
Okay. Can you describe for us how big the club is so that we can...
30 years ago, a little bit bigger than this room.
So it's relatively, it's not like a two-story. It's not,
it's
you know.
small.
All right. And in terms of the club itself, you were there, and you were sharing with us that there were other people that were there.
Yes.
Law enforcement as well as I don't know, people from your side of town.
Oh, law enforcement was outside. The Metro would say, "Why y'all putting words in my mouth?"
Sure.
They were outside.
Okay.
We were on the inside. Wasn't no law enforcement mingling with us.
So, as far as you know, law enforcement wasn't hired by Reggie Wright to provide additional security?
No, this was
Club
Metro
security?
posted up all over the place.
And so they were there specifically just to, like what, harass or just send a warning or what?
No, they were there. Like when you have events in Las Vegas, everybody knows. You're going to see Metro here, every block.
Yeah.
They was posted up, which they do all the time.
But you're telling me that as head of security, you do not know or you don't believe that Reggie Wright hired the Metro officers to come
I
in?
know for a fact he didn't hire the Metro Police.
Okay. Do you know how many people were on the payroll that night from your security team?
Well, y'all do paperwork different than we did. Our paperwork was getting cash money. Our paperwork was what they call under the table. We had at least 30, 40 of my homeboys there. Reggie Wright Jr. and his security, his company, the people who work for him, didn't have nothing to do with what Suge paid us for working. So that was two different entities, Reggie and Suge. The homies was there for Suge Knight. Reggie Wright hired his company to watch over Suge Knight people.
Right.
So his security did like the right thing. My security did what they ain't gonna do. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
The police gonna walk you out of there.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna drag you out of there. So it was a difference, but not on the same paper.
Sure. And once again, the intent was to protect 662, right? To protect the club, protect the patrons that were going to go there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of your knowledge of what happened on that night, fair to say you weren't present when the shots had rung out.
No, I wasn't there.
Okay. And your testimony is that you had heard from other people initially that, hey, Tupac had been shot.
Yes.
And you had thought maybe other people were maybe relieved, thinking like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. He's gonna be okay.
That's what came back to 662. People that went to the scene, and everybody said Tupac was talking. So everybody came back to the club saying he's gonna be all right. So people just went back to, mingling.
Right. Now, in terms of the that night, you go back to Compton. You live in Compton.
Yes.
You still live in Compton?
No.
At the time you live in Compton, you go back to Compton, and you tell us that there was a lot of tension. Can you describe that for us when you went back in terms of what kind of tension we're talking about?
You sure you want me to answer that?
Is it going to be graphic?
No, I ain't gonna. I got to raise the word in it, but you asking me a question. I don't. And what I explained to them, I don't want to send him to prison.
Sure.
Even though we don't like each other.
Sure.
I don't want to send you to prison. So that's why I'm here where I'm at and the way I am, because I changed my life. I'm raising my grandkids, teaching them never to be like their papa. And here I am explaining to people what I used to be. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. And you asking me questions that can hurt him. And like I told them, I'm trying to avoid to answer the questions that they might look at me and say, something is wrong.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me help you out with this.
Thank you.
So these people right here, what they want to know from you is, did you see who shot Tupac?
I told you no.
Correct. So outside of that question, right, the next question I'm asking you is, when you went back to Compton, was it like a Southside crib that shoots a pyro blood? And then a pirate blood shoots a Southside Crip. Is that the tension that we're talking about?
Do I answer this?
That's a straightforward question. It's a yes or no answer.
Okay,
Did you see that?
when I was a part of that life, I was a part of that.
Once again.
And I was, no, because you asking something that's going to hurt this dude. And okay, let me stop.
And once again, I want to emphasize.
When we got back to Compton,
Okay.
it was a gang war. People were getting hurt.
Okay.
People was being sought. People were looking for certain individuals from his neighborhood,
Okay.
as well they did mine.
Okay.
But Orlando, him, and certain other people were being sought because people wanted to kill them.
Sure. Were they the only ones that they wanted to kill?
Am I the only one up in here? No, they weren't the only one.
Okay.
It's his neighborhood in particular.
That's right.
But they were the main subjects of a gang war. They was in the middle, such
Sure.
as me.
So you're telling us that people back home somehow had some type of information that said that that guy, as a bunch of other people, were involved in what?
In the murder of Tupac.
Okay. But my question to you,
Stop.
can you focus on me for a second, sir?
Yeah, I will.
And I apologize. I just want to make sure that we're clear, okay, for these people. In terms of that information, none of those people were there, right?
What people you be speaking on? The people that was already in the neighborhood, or the people that left Las Vegas that same night Tupac was shot to go home, bear their arms, and go to somebody else's neighborhood
Right.
to look for somebody. They had to pay it back.
So once again, my question to you is that the information that I'm asking about is the people that back home, you're saying were eyewitnesses to this?
How could people back home be eyewitness to something that happened in Vegas? No, that's not what I'm saying.
The people that were here in listen to my question, sir. The people that were here in Las Vegas, you're telling me were eyewitnesses to what happened and went back home. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you, the people that was at 662.
Just answer my question, sir. Yes or no?
I can't
Is it
answer
a yes
that
or no?
without a what you call it. You trying to tell me to say something that you're not going to understand. If you let me explain to you.
No, answer my question.
I'm not answering nothing. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, focus for a second.
No, I am focused. Very.
Focus on this. My question to you is this. You didn't know what happened that night because you weren't there.
I was at 662.
Right. Do you know who was that was there?
I know everybody that was there.
Okay. Like who?
Talk to your lawyer, man. This dude is tripping. I'm not going to explain that. I can't answer that.
Okay, let me ask you this next question then. You are telling us that people back in Compton, for some reason, knew what happened here in Las Vegas.
A phone conversation. People found out when people left Las Vegas the same night Tupac was shot, went straight back to Compton. It only takes 3.5 hours to get home.
Sure.
Yes, it wasn't a problem for people to find out what happened. No problem at all.
They got on their phones, they texted people, they let them know what happened here on the night of the shooting.
Yeah. They had walkie-talkies, they had all kind of phones. They had ways to call people to say whatever. But when people left Las Vegas that same night, after they found out and got in their cars and went home because it was a situation, Pac was shot.
Okay.
Retaliation is a mug. Come on, man. It was for real, for real. All of this was for real.
Now, the night of the shooting, did you have a walkie-talkie, a Nextel thing or something like that?
No.
Did Reggie Wright?
I don't know what he had. I don't know how much money he had in his pocket. I don't know what he had on his hip.
But you were the head of securities, but you're telling us you did not have any type
Reggie
of
Right way security has nothing to do with the gang banging security, power rules, whatever you want to call it. They had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
The phones that Suge had for certain individuals, they had the phones. Like the guy that was bodyguard for Tupac that night. Like some of the guys that was at the Tyson fight, like Suge Knight. Certain individuals had phones. Yes, they did.
Okay, so All right, I get what you're saying. You're not there, but you're saying other people were.
Yes, I'm saying there was a lot of people there
A lot of people were there at the shooting that took place.
that was in the entourage, yes.
Let's see. Okay, just one final question. You're here today, and I think the state had asked this question under a subpoena. You're ordered to be here today, right?
Yes.
In terms of that subpoena, for instance, is that's the only reason why you're here is because of that subpoena?
I don't have no other reason to be here.
In order for you to get that subpoena, you were served that subpoena back in California
Yes.
by a police officer?
I don't know, he wasn't in uniform.
Okay. And that order required you to go to a court in California?
I had to go to court and Victor Bill.
And then that court in California said you have to show up here.
And in that court, I cussed them out and told them, you can't make me do nothing.
Right.
And in that court, they told me that I would be in attempted court. Me raising my grandkids, I'm not going to put my grandkids in the car and move somewhere so y'all can't find me. So all that running and living a different life, I ain't doing it. So I agreed to come. And like I explained to everybody in here, you ask me something, I'm going to be honest about. You ask me something I don't want to talk about, you're going to have a problem. Treat me as a hostile witness. You're not going to talk to me and tell me as a grown man what I have to do up here. I'm not finna send him to prison. You are.
So the accusation now is because of the fact that we're trying to ask you questions, you're blaming it on me.
You asking me questions. If I just answer your questions, we gonna have a problem in here, a misunderstanding. And you're asking me something that wouldn't be good for him.
Right. And once again, I just want to, look, we're just trying to figure out who shot Tupac. You're telling us that you weren't there to see him. That's all I want to know. At the end of the day, that's it. Right?
Was I in the entourage when Tupac got shot? No.
Okay. Nothing else, right?
I was at 662. I mean, that ain't hard. That's easy math.
No further questions, John.
Anything further, State?
Jesus.
All right, we've got one more phase, and then we'll let you out of here.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Seeing no hands? Oh, we do have one. Okay, hang on one second. All right, I have a question for you from one of our jurors, if you can answer it. Did Reggie Wright Jr. instruct security to not have firearms the night of the fight?
To be honest, I don't know if Reggie Wright told his people, or the police officers, not to have guns, and I don't know why. He sure didn't tell us because we had ours. And that's the honest truth.
All right. Any follow-up based on that, State?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
I just want to clarify what the witnesses said. You're telling us that you had guns that night.
Yeah.
I just want to know. But you had guns that night, right?
Yes, we did.
All right, thank you.
All right, State. I know you didn't want to be here, but thank you for coming down.
Okay, can I say something? I want to apologize to everybody, but I find this kind of funny. And truthfully, what you're going through, brother, is what you're going through. I didn't want to be a part of that, and I'm not a part of that. So I appreciate everything, and I apologize to all of you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McDonald. You are free to go. State's next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State's calling Reggie Wright Jr.
All right, Jordan's investigating the burning smell. Anyone like smelling that? The burning smell? Maybe. I could. If anybody's smelling something burning, it's a burnt bagel from back there, so don't worry, we're all. Okay. Are we able to? Is this good?
I think he was leaving them like that to swear, and then we'll turn them on.
Okay, perfect, got it. All right, we'll have you sworn then, Mr. Wright.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this section shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Reginald Lilburn Wright Jr. Reginald. Lilburn is Lil. B as in boy. URN. Wright is WRIGHT. And I'm a junior.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Paul, you may proceed.
Okay, great.
You're good, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Do you mind if I call you Reggie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Sir, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the city of Compton, California. I was born and raised there until about the age of 19.
And who is your father? Who's your father?
My father is Reginald Wright Sr.
And where did your father work?
He worked for the city of Compton Police Department.
And at some point, had he risen up the ranks of the Compton Police Department to become a lieutenant, is it, of gangs?
Eventually captain, but
Yeah.
during most of his career was a lieutenant.
Where did you ultimately become a police officer yourself?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
I was a civilian jailer from 1985 until 1989, and then I became a police officer from 1989 until I retired in 1996.
And why did you retire?
I received a medical retirement for I have vascular necrosis in my right ankle, but that's not why I'm like this. This is a result of COVID.
After you left the Compton PD or took your medical retirement, where did you next work?
Well, to be honest, my last year or two of being a police officer, I was employed as death row security, head of security, and also had a private security company.
Now, was that something that was called like moonlighting, that officers would moonlight when they were off duty?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to us what moonlighting means when you're off duty?
Well, moonlighting is pretty much just working off duty on your off duty hours, working for different companies. I worked for several companies. It wasn't just death row. I worked for trucking companies, doing security. Worked at a nightclub, the Raiders Club, that was inside of the Compton Hotel. Worked several video shoots. Just extra money on the side for off duty.
Compton PD wasn't paying good?
Guess I was a little young and greedy.
Yeah. And then at some point you said one of the jobs that you had was moonlighting for Death Row. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us what Death Row is?
Death Row Records is a record company that was based out of Beverly Hills, California. And, yeah.
And who ran Death Row Records at that time?
A gentleman that I actually grew up with at elementary school, junior high, and high school by the name of Suge Knight.
And when you say Suge, is that what he would go by?
I call him Suge.
So after you retired, did you, well actually let me take a step back. As part of your role as a police officer in Compton, were you familiar with the different neighborhoods and the members of different neighborhoods?
Yes, sir.
Was that part of your job to know what areas were associated with what gangs?
Pretty much a job, and like I said, I started in like 1985, so kind of got familiar while I was working in jail, and it was something that was curious to me, being that my father was active with with the gangs, and it was something that was intriguing to me as well.
When you said you grew up with Suge, did you grow up in the same neighborhood that Suge grew up in?
Yes, about 2 blocks away.
Was that considered Mob Piru territory?
That's correct, sir.
So when you were growing up, were you familiar with the Mob Piru?
They came on eventually later. It was really a Luther's Park, Piru area. But then, I guess when I was about in the 7th grade, which would have been like 1978, maybe a little later, 80, they started calling themselves the Mob Piru.
So they were Looters Park Piru before, and then they transitioned to being called Mob Piru.
Yeah, we pretty much divided it, everything south of Rosecrans was mob, and everything north was, or the other way around. North was mob, and south were Looters area of Rosecrans Avenue.
Were you familiar with a gang called the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes, sir.
How were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Well, growing up in the city of Compton, we all played sports together, and heard of them when I was playing at Kelly Park, baseball, Little League baseball, at Compton Northern. And then my time in '85 as a jailer, and then working the streets of Compton as a police officer from 1989.
Were you familiar with somebody by the name that went by the moniker Keffe D?
Well, heard of him. Had no personal interactions with him at that point, especially in law enforcement. Heard of him, knew of him, but I had no personal contact with Keffe at that time.
So he was somebody that was on your radar, even though you had never met him and already had personal interaction with him.
Heard of him. He was mainly known as at one point he was known as a crackhead, but then later on he was known as a drug dealer, and I mainly was a gang guy, and didn't really enforce on the level of narcotics he was working.
All right. So then you had mentioned that after you had left the Compton PD, you formed a company. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. So, in '94, initially I was using a private security company because I was kind of in charge for security for death row, called Code 4. But once I saw I was about to get retired, I opened up my own private company called Right Way Protective Services. And that didn't really get started until about 1995. But in '94, I was using another private company.
And who were your clients? Was your client just death row, or did you do anything else?
I had a couple of clients, like Honda of Pasadena, which was a automotive dealership, a dealership in Compton that they were repoing people's cars and they needed a car. But my biggest, 95% of my clientele was Death Row Records.
Now, tell me about that. What were you doing when you're saying you're security, or you're a security company that's working for death row, right?
I don't know.
Well, let me just
Tell me.
The camera's on. You want to turn the camera on?
Oh, sorry. So this would be page 21, counsel, of the surreptitious report or recording. So you say, question that was asked by Detective Mobb, you were describing the chains as cheap. He said he had asked you, got a $300 chain? He said, yeah, one of those cheap little chains because they were messing around with the same women and they got one and he got mad about it. My presumption.
We talking about Keffe?
Yes.
Yes.
So what? What did expensive ones look like? Do you have a picture of those? And you said, yes, sir, I can show you the one that Tupac would have. And then the question's asked of you by Detective Mobb, did you ever get one of those chains? And you respond, yeah, I had one. And then the question was, what happened to it? And you said, shit, hard times hit. And Detective Mobb commiserates and says, yeah, I hear you. You said, got to get rid of it somehow. And then Detective Mogg asked, what did you get for it? And you said, I got about 5,000, right?
Yeah, that was the platinum one, or the white gold one. You can watch, and I'm sure you have several interviews, pictures with me with my gold chain on. I wear them on several YouTube videos.
But fair to say, of course, that, when you said you had one, it's not one gold, it's not one platinum in this book, right?
Like I said, the one I sold was the platinum one.
Now, in addition to that, later on, when you're testifying before the grand jury, a question that was asked by one of the jurors was, and I want to make sure I'm clear because I don't want to mess up I want to be accurate with you.
Your Honor, I think this is improper impeachment or refreshing recollection. I'm not quite sure what I'm hearing to Mr. Wright before asking the predicate question.
Let me just do this as a refreshing of his recollection, Your Honor. I just didn't want to.
So it's sustained. So I don't know that he said he doesn't remember.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You were asked by a juror.
Again, I think you have to ask the substantive question first. Determine whether
Mr. Blog, you're going to have to talk louder because your mic's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think you have to.
You
I
approach.
can stand. I apologize, Your Honor.
Everyone approach.
Sorry. So were you asked this question by a grand juror?
Again, Your Honor, I think you have to ask the predicate. He's trying to impeach and or refresh recollection about something of substance. You have to ask procedurally. You have to ask the substantive question first, not whether you were asked this.
Are you talking about the chain question?
Yes.
We've gone up and down about the chain.
And so I believe what he's already answered in the chain of things. I don't understand. Are we impeaching or?
Now he's impeaching, saying that he's given an inconsistent statement in the past. So, overruled. He can proceed.
Do you recall being asked a question by a grand juror, do you still have your death row pending?
Correct.
And you had said, yes, you do.
I do.
You didn't say there was gold, you didn't say it was platinum, you just said I had my death row pending.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, one of the other issues that we've talked a little bit about is and once again, I apologize. Maybe the state can refresh my recollection because maybe I was thinking about something else. You have been convicted of a crime.
I am.
And with regards to that crime, it was a felony.
It was sales of marijuana.
No, back up here real quick. It was sales of marijuana and it was also embezzlement. Is that what it was?
No,
Money laundering?
Money laundering.
Ah.
With money going in.
And with regard to those two things, that happened in California.
No, actually, well, the reason why I got in trouble because it went across state lines to Memphis. It's actually Memphis, Tennessee.
And because it was across the state lines, it was a federal case.
Correct.
And that happened way after you were a police officer.
Yeah, that's 2019, well, 2017, I believe.
Okay. And at some point, you become the general manager of Death Row Records.
That's in 1997, sir.
1997.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
So Suge Knight is in Las Vegas, and you were with them every single day. And in September of 1996, he just happened to get in this fray, and next thing you know, he's going to prison, right?
I'm sorry?
Let me ask you this. Why did Suge go to prison?
He violated his probation.
Right. So you knew, of course, that he was on probation, right? Before he came out.
The whole time I was with him.
You did?
From 1994, yes.
Yeah. And so you knew that the number one person from Death Row Records, the primary principal for you, potentially could go to prison if he got into a fight, for instance, right?
Correct.
And on this particular night, you weren't around for him when he was in this quote-unquote fight, right?
I was around with Mr. Knight about 70 to 80% of his life. So I guess a lot of 20%, I wasn't with him.
Okay.
Public, and when I say that, I mean public. Because a lot of times he laid up, sleep with somebody, and I wasn't with him.
So in the most important time of Suge Knight's life, of having your protection, you weren't there for him.
Unfortunately not, that's correct.
And then you became the general manager of Death Row Records.
By his calling, not anyone else.
All right. No further questions.
All right. State, any further questions?
So to clarify that last point, in terms of who determined who was going to run Death Row Records while Mr. Knight was in prison?
Mr. Jamal?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Who determined, who made you in charge of Death Row Records while Mr. Knight was in prison?
He did, and I visited him 4 days a week during that time while he was incarcerated.
Nothing further.
Anything further on that, Mr. Stamps?
Just one clarification. So
Okay.
Suge Knight made you general manager when he was in custody.
That's correct.
No further questions.
Anything else? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this one? Of course. All right. All right, Mr. Wright, I have a couple of questions for you from our jurors.
Okay.
First, if they knew the cell phones were for in case of emergency, why wouldn't they call once the shooting took place? Why did you find out later in person?
I sure don't know why they didn't call me. That was Mr. Alexander's responsibility, and I didn't hear from him. Didn't hear from him.
Okay. Was there anything in writing regarding the transfer of management power to you over Death Row Records?
I wouldn't call it power. Just, dealing with the day-to-day operation. The one that signed people, artists for him. I did everything for him. I dealt with his women. I dealt with his parents. I dealt with pretty much everything while he was incarcerated. And generally, because I was going back and forth, seeing him, the 4 days, I spent hours on the phone with him. And I was just his point of contact person.
So was there anything in writing regarding that?
Not to my knowledge other than,
Okay. Were there any witnesses to it?
well, there's a young lady sitting in here right now that I signed, while he was incarcerated to the record label.
There was a writing?
I'm sorry.
You signed some? What did you
You don't
sign?
sign her as an artist.
Okay. State any questions based on those answers?
Nothing to state.
Defense?
I do.
Okay.
All right. So I want to make sure I'm clear. You become the general manager of Death Row Records, and what was your job responsibilities?
I did everything, to be honest. I brought Miss Shakur up to the prison to meet with him. I was helped talk to several, putting the albums together. When I met with Jimmy Iovine, who was our distributor at the time, negotiated deals with them. Everything I did was approved by Mr. Knight, but I was his point of contact.
Did you ever have a power of attorney signed by Mr. Knight to sign on his behalf?
No, what I would do is have everything generated, and I would send it. His attorney would come visit him on Tuesdays. If it was something real important, he would sign it on Tuesdays. And if I needed it before then, he was married to a young lady by the name of Michelle, or at least she thought they were married. And she was signed. She had the power of attorney to sign, but she didn't deal with anyone. And then we also had a rubber stamp that two of his female friends had to sign checks or to sign some contracts if they would take them.
So if there was anything wrong with the bank account, for instance, did you have to get someone else to handle that, not you?
I dealt with the bookkeeper, generated the checks, but his two female friends were the ones that stamped them.
And with regards to his two female friends here, were the employees of Death Row Records?
One was an artist, Michelle, and then the other one, Miss Hawkins. She was just a girlfriend.
Now, you are aware that at the time that Mr. Knight was involved in this thing that happened in Las Vegas and finally gets revoked on probation, that his record label was valued somewhere around, what, $500 million?
I heard 3, but
Okay.
it was up there.
All right, so it's a pretty significant asset, right?
Correct.
Now, out of all of this, you are the general manager, you have access to all of it.
I guess I was the one he trusted at the time.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wright. You are excused and you're free to go.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's it for the presentation of witnesses today. We'll be in recess. We're going to come back at 1 p.m. tomorrow because I have a calendar in the morning. So I'm going to read the admonishment and then you're excused for the day. During the recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report of a commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll see you guys back here at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you.
Rise from jury.
So on the record.
Sergio said I found it. I think maybe he says the shots fired.
For the record, the jury has exited the room. Is there anything we need to address outside their presence?
Not from the state, Your Honor. Not from the state.
No, Your Honor, I'll be asking the state for their witnesses tomorrow by 1
Okay, sounds good. We'll be in